Hey, it's Brandy and I am back with another card share. Today I will be working on my nerdy Christmas card series. Last year I did this on Facebook and Instagram, and I thought this year it'd be fun to share with you my thought process and my creating. So let's get right into the first video. So this one I am using the Space Heroes stamp set by Kindred stamps. I took my two characters and I know I want them decorating together. So I put them together on my little cardstock piece, and then I inked them up with ink on 3. You saw me wipe off part of the stamp. My little trash panda is is holding a weapon, and I just didn't need it for the scene that I was creating, so I just wiped it off so that the ink wouldn't stick out past where the star that I was going to have him hold be. So then I'm going to come in with my pencil and I'm going to add some holiday details. Down here I'm going to add some Christmas lights. It's a squiggle line. It's nothing complicated. I did add like a little plug end for my string of lights, and then the little baubles are slightly smaller ovals with, you know, that are kind of flat on the where they meet the line for the cord. So I'm just going to go through, make little bubbles, and then here I'm just going to make myself a ground line just so that it makes more sense, and then I can put my characters on a floor. I'll use my markers and create shadows and stuff with them later. Here I'm just taking my Copic multiliner pen and I'm going to outline everything that I just penciled in, so that way it's Copic safe and I can color it in with my markers. So I've been doing a nerdy Christmas theme for many years now because when my husband and I first started dating, he was not into Christmas. It just was never really his thing, and so I was like, I need to get you involved and get you excited about Christmas. So I started probably about 14 years ago, 15 years ago at this point, buying my husband Star Trek Christmas ornaments so that he had a little bit of himself in Christmas, and it kind of snowballed from there, and now we have an entire Christmas tree full of Star Trek ornaments, with a little nod to Doctor Who at the top because I have a TARDIS tree topper. Here I'm just making some masks out of fullback sticky notes for my characters so I can do some distress inking. But I started with the Christmas ornaments being the nerdy thing, and then I've done a few like Christmas mixed media pieces that were nerdy, and then last year I decided it'd be really fun to take all of my nerdy stamps and turn them into Christmas cards. So I did that last year on Facebook and Instagram, and then so if you want to see some of the ones I made last year, you can check out my Facebook or my Instagram. I'll leave my info down in the box. But this year I'm going to try to share as many of them on YouTube as I can. So here I'm just masking off my characters, and I'm going to use some post-it tape, which is just, it comes on a little roll, because it gives me a straight edge for my ground. Then I'm going to come in with some distress ink. This is aged mahogany, and my inking mat so I don't make a mess out of my work surface. You'll notice that this does get darker later on. I'll show you. I do ink over this a couple of times. I didn't leave it all in because nobody wants to watch me ink blend for 20 minutes. But I didn't love it. I thought I wanted to leave like the center a little lighter, but then I didn't love it, so I did go back and fix it. And then I used some Evergreen Bow Distress ink on the bottom, and I was just gonna make like a light, like greenish blue carpet floor, but you'll see in a little bit that I wasn't paying attention because my kids were asking me 1,000 questions, and I made a boo-boo and I had to fix it. So once I got that done, I'm gonna pull out my Copics to start. I do save my masks on the back of my stamp set, but I'm gonna pull out my Copics. I'm gonna start with my bottom tree character. Once I his color combination, which my color combinations will be over on my blog. is a mix of warm, like light warm grays and some like soft, like almost olivey greens. Like I said, I think there's a YG in there, and I think there is a G as well, just to give some like depth to my character. So currently it is snowing. We are supposed to get about 2 feet, I think, somewhere's in there, 1.5 feet, 2 feet of snow. Um, for those of you who don't know, I live in upstate New York, and it is crazy. I don't want the snow to come. My kids have been off for Thanksgiving break since Wednesday, and I have a feeling they're not going to have school tomorrow because it is supposed to snow all day today and most of tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Here I am going to move on to my other character. His outfit is orange. I did more of like a burnt orangey color versus like a bright orange, like a more yellowy orange. You can do whatever you want. And I did go in with some cool grays for his outfit because I intend to use my warm grays for his fur. And I just find that warm grays work better with I prefer them when I'm doing like animal fur or creatures. I just like that like kind of brown undertone. And so when I'm going in, I'm gonna go in with my lightest, and I'm going to map out where my shadows should be, mostly because I tend to get them wrong. And so I can fix it really easily if I go in with my light color. But if as I go in, I will slowly go to my darkest. I usually use between a 3 and 4 color blend. It depends on what markers I have when I'm coloring. I don't have every single Copic. I don't even think I have half of the Copics. It's just I'm slowly collecting them, and I'll get there eventually. Maybe when my kids are in college. I might not be able to afford Copics. I'm going to sell my Copics to send my kids to college. And then I'm going to move on to the darker shades of his fur. And I'm going to use still the warm grays. I'm just going to go, my darkest that was in the light will be my lightest now, and then I'm going to add 2 more darker. And my darkest color I'm only putting in the very like corners, just so that it adds a good amount of dimension without being like it taking over the whole thing. And then I'm going to blend it out. And I just go from lightest to darkest, darkest to lightest, and I go until I like what I have. I did forget. I was so focused on coloring his face, I did not pay attention to the rest of his body. I used my Copic multi-liner to do his nose just because it's a nice, like, dark black, and it has a fine tip, so it was easier. And then I'm just going to keep up with this. So do you guys have any holiday traditions that you guys do in your house? Do you do like a theme for decorating, or do you guys just have like all the things? Because I know like some people do like a woodland theme. We are a nerd theme. That's pretty much the only theme I can think of. This is a star I stamped out and colored before because I was testing my idea. And it's just, I found it in a random stamp set. I think it came from the Outer Space stamp set from Kindred Stamps, just because I had all of my Kindred stamps out from digging through to try to figure out what I wanted to do for my card today. And then I did go in and I just used a single color for all of my little lights. And then I'm just going to use a dot of glue. This is the Thermoweb glue. It's pretty good. It holds really well. I do notice that sometimes, like, if it's on top of distress ink, it will pick up the color of the distress ink while it's wet, and then when it dries, it doesn't dry clear because it picked up all that ink, so that's just something to be warned about. This is where I made my mistake, because I was talking to my kids. I used greens for my shadows, because I was thinking, oh, my carpet's green, as opposed to my grays. And then you'll notice that in a minute it's going to get out, because I took a break because I was frustrated, and I was like, I just did all of this coloring. So you'll notice that it's different now. All I did was go in with my Copics. I'm showing it with the red. So I just matched some greens that I liked out of my Copics that kind of matched that Evergreen Bow Distress ink. I'm doing the same technique that I'm doing here with the red. I figured I already darkened my green. I might as well darken my red. So I went in, I picked out 3 like reddish brown colors that matched my aged mahogany just ink, and I'm just going to go in and color in my background. I'm not one to want to, I did a lot of work stamping this out and coloring it. I did not want to throw it away just because I messed up the shadow. So sometimes if you're frustrated or you know you make a mistake, walk away from it for a minute and then go back and see if you can, if your creative beacon kicks back on how you can fix that mistake. It wasn't a crazy big mistake. It was just a little like, whoops. So here I'm just going to blend it out. I thought I could blend it right into the Distress ink like I did with the other one, but I just needed, this one, the red just needed a little bit more work. But that's okay. Now once I get it all colored and everything, now when I craft with my kids like running amok in my house, so I make a lot of mistakes. So having like little tricks like this where you use your markers to fix like a little coloring boo-boo is a great skill and thing to learn. And remember to let your Copics dry because that wet ink will dry back a little bit differently and stuff like that. So this little sentiment I typed up on my computer. It was just, I like punny little things. So it says Seasons Grooting. And I just thought it was really cute. So I just typed it up on my computer and then I printed it on a nicer cardstock, and then I'm going to go in with my warm grays and just add a little bit of shading so that that isn't quite so stark white on top of my background. I just liked it better. And I just trimmed this to whatever I thought looked good. I didn't measure it. It looks like it's about a ½ inch wide, but it could be slightly wider or not. And then once I'm done blending in through the things, I'm going to work on my card base and my background. I thought I was going to use this scrapbook paper. This is just a scrap of from a Christmas set. It's got pinstripes, but it has some like slight words in it, and I'm going to use a craft colored card base. Once I got it, looked at it, and got it centered, I didn't love it, so I changed my idea. This is an embossing folder from Sizzix. It came in a Christmas set. It kind of looks like a Christmas sweater or like Christmas candy. I'm going to run it through my Sizzix, and then I'm just going to use some kids fun foam to pop up my main image. I'm just going to make it slightly smaller than my main image, and then I'm going to use some really strong adhesive just because the texture that is behind my main piece can make it kind of hard to stick to because there's a lot of texture. The only thing I would change is instead of embossing my whole like card base, I think I would emboss a panel and then put it onto a card base, just because embossing just, it smushes the fibers of the paper, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it'd be a stronger card if it wasn't embossed. I think I might go back and just cut the front off of this card and mount it onto a different card base, but probably still a craft card base because I love the craft card stack for Christmas. And that's my whole card. I hope you guys enjoyed this first card, and I will see you soon.